we have seen this debate about building versus buying tools, and there is a lot of tools in the market, and there is a lot of decisions to
Mhm.
make. From your experience, what are the factors or what are the 4 or 5 things that a company should evaluate when deciding whether to buy or whether to build a tool? What are the things that you have in mind? Like, for example, if you were I don't know, an end user thinking, okay, should I buy or should I build something that is in-house? What are your thoughts on that?
Of course. The easiest one to look at is bandwidth. Do I have a team of engineers that are able to create these Lambda functions against whatever APIs are needed? And they're having to go in and maybe they don't know those. There's hundreds of thousands of services uh, out on the hyperscalers. It's impossible to be an expert on every single one of them. Um, so engineering may not have the expertise. So again, we look at that. With the bandwidth, it's what are we limited to? Um, what can we do internally? Of okay, well, we can only do just a little snippet of this. It helps, but it still doesn't really take a good chunk of it. Um, at my last company, that was our case where we had limitations on bandwidth. And while engineering was able to implement some of the stop start hours, we were able to get more breadth and depth on using tooling to really encompass everything with those start stop hours, because it showed us a little bit more than what we were seeing within the hyperscalers. Um, that's the biggest one. And then, of course, my favorite is customer service. Of how engaged are these teams that we're talking to with various tooling? Are they engaged to truly help us to move forward with growing our cloud environments, or are they more focused on the bottom line and money that they can get from us? So that's where I really think the changes come into play.
That you raise a good point, and I think it's a very a fair one, and it's something that you know you have to know what your partners are in the road, and you need to select the ones that are helping you. And of course, customer service is probably one of the things that show up the quality
Mm-hmm.
of the partners that you have and the the effort that you can put in place. So definitely something that people listen to us and people that are evaluating tools should care about, that it's not only technology, but it's only being able to support them and to be able to help the user, right?
Absolutely.
It's mandatory.
Absolutely.
And to continuing on that side, I wanted to ask a bit about. Okay, so we have this either tool that is built upon in-house, or we get a tool and we get these alerts. And but moving a step back, right? So when we are designing the solutions or we are creating the POCs, the architectures, all of that, I know for a fact that the architects take okay the resilience of the application, or we create I don't know a microservice architecture that is super dynamic, cutting edge thing, and then we build everything in Kubernetes, whatever. But then cost is not something that is super taken into
Mhm.
account, right? It's something that is there. Of course, it's not something that because you are thinking, okay, this is a POC, this is not going to cost us a lot, but how could you say that an organization can make cost a part of the POC phase or the design phase, and what are your tips towards making that actually happen in an organization?
Absolutely. So, uh, some processes that I have seen really work in an organization is bringing those, if you have a FinOps team, bringing those people in at the very beginning stages when you're talking about designing a new project. Or if it's just the finance team, that's totally fine as well. But bringing those people in on the early concepts. While they may not fully understand everything that's going on, they may not have that engineering background, they do understand, okay, we're going to, take it back into terms of clothing. We want to purchase an extra large in this premium brand, but this other brand, this knockoff brand, is the same quality and everything else, but it's just not that premium name. Um, and so it's things like that that really help in the beginning stages when you're setting this up. There was an organization that I worked at years ago, and I loved how they incorporated this. They had an ARC team, which is an architecture review board, and within this, it included multiple engineers, it included developers, it included leaders, PMs, and it included finance people. And everyone worked together, and having that communication across multiple arenas within your organization, it really drives that structure of we are working together for the end goal, which in turn is the customer. And we want to make sure that we're fully supporting the customer, but we're also doing this within reason. I know that building trust with engineers when you're coming from a finance perspective is very difficult. I started in engineering and migrated over more into kind of like the finance FinOps area. So I remember doing those deployments and not really thinking about it at first. And then, oh no, we are over budget. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. What can we do to fix it? Let's drop the instance size. We do not need this large instance size for testing. It's fine. We can still, replicate a customer's environment with whatever we have. So it's really starting those conversations at the beginning and showing that engineers, put it in real world terms, not finance terms. When I'm talking to engineering, I am not using finance terms. I'm not using accruals. I'm not using cash basis. Those words do not come out of my mouth. And when I'm talking to finance, I'm not talking about EBS. I'm not talking about specific instance types. I'm speaking a language that they understand. So a lot of times I bring it into real world situations of, you're heading out on vacation. What do you typically do when you head out on vacation? You make sure that your lights are turned off, your power breaker, depending on how long you're going on vacation, power breaker's turned off, your water's turned off so that you don't accidentally get a spill that happens. These are kind of conversations that I have with both finance and engineering, which makes it I'm building that trust within them to show, hey guys, we can do this. I care about your performance. I care about your scalability. But at the same time, I also care about, can we help the team grow? And everyone loves that idea because everyone is always underwater with, we don't have enough resources. We don't have enough people. Well, if we can cut back cost, maybe we can put that cost that we're wasting back into people and resources and get another person, get, a couple more people. It all varies.
And that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
for
good.
sure. I think the head.
Sorry, Victor. No, I said that they always,
No worries. Go ahead.
I said that always, showing what else you can do with the money that you save. It's always a good strategy. And also, we are starting seeing, as you mentioned, more of like kind of like some kind of shift into the engineers. They do more kind of like the FinOps. This is what I like when you first started the conversation. We talk about this is I'm going to show them, right? All this stuff that they can save, and what is the current cost of what they are doing. And I think that also one of the things that we are seeing lately is kind of some automations that will do even the work for engineer to try and solve those things. Do you think also that is a good direction of tools, because we have so many tools? Then so try
I
to
think it's
think
a definite
what would be the
shift.
strategy also to choose the tool. But yes, please.
getting feedback from engineering. When I'm POCing a tool, I know what I like, and I know what leaders are typically asking for and wanting. However, if the engineers are going to be implementing it, I want the engineers to get into this tool and get their hands dirty with it. I want them to try and break something. I want them to see what it takes to set up things. There's a tool that with a former company we were POCing called Perfect Scale. This does automations with Kubernetes. Engineers, I'm like, hey, this is all you. I'm going to need your feedback on this. They went into it and they loved how it looked. They liked how easy it was to set up. And okay, great. Now what do I get out of it? So then I go into it once the engineers go in, and then I start testing and poking around and seeing what I can break. And I'm very much a just press buttons until something happens, versus always reading instructions. Um, but that's a great way to also learn tools quicker, in my opinion. And engineers typically function this way as well, as they'll just go in and deploy something before they go any further.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, indeed. And with tools like that ones is very specific, and you start playing and start seeing like, okay, you may touch some buttons that go to the documentation, seeing, okay, what the hell I'm doing, then go back and say, okay, then I will check this and that, and then see if the monitoring makes sense or not, especially with Kubernetes tool like Perfect Scale that is very familiar, I think, to people that have used anything like Grafana or things like that. That is very straightforward. And to continue about on the point that Damien raised about automation. So we are seeing, we are especially in the AI world and all this automation world, and there is a lot of effort into automating things. What do you think are the topics or in the whole FinOps thing? What do you think are the areas that could be more automated, and which ones do you think should be the less ones or the less prioritized in terms of automation because they have, I don't know, some difficulties that are especially made not for automation? What are let's say, your priors to automating when you start you go to a company, you arrive into a company, and you say, okay, let's automate stuff. Where do you start, and what do you ignore for, let's say, yeah, this is not automated, no worries?
So I pretty much try to automate as much as possible, just so I'm not spending hours trying to pull reports and going into the consoles and figuring things out from there. But I typically start with the low-hanging fruit of automation. So what I consider the low-hanging fruit is those EBS volumes that have been sitting there for years, untouched. You have that last access date back in 2020, and okay, why is this here? Oh, I didn't even realize it was there. Okay, great. So we set in automations that will kick out certain resources like that. With that, we'll also set just a time limit of if there's a snapshot, it's been there 30 days. Okay, let's put it into deep archive. We don't need it readily there if we're only spinning it up every once in a while for testing purposes. Elastic IPs, that's the easiest one that a lot of people forget about. But as soon as those are disassociated from anything, just kill them. They're collecting dust and costing money, and you don't need them. You're not gonna reattach them, because then you're gonna have to go and reformat all your code, which will take more hours than to just grab a new one from scratch. So those are where I typically start, is the snapshots, the volumes, the elastic IPs, and then we start going into, all right, once we have a good idea of this is typically running from this time till this time, and it's not really in use around this time, we'll start setting then automation off hours. So We'll shut down services after people leave for the day. And we do it in areas that are specific to time zones. So for teams that are in India, it is set for their time zones, for their on and off hours, for instances or any types of environments. For those that are in the Netherlands, same thing. We try to make it so that engineers know, okay, great. It towards my final days at my former company, I had engineers regularly reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, Diana, can you go ahead and add this to the automation for these hours?" Sure, no problem. It took 2 seconds. I went into our tool, went ahead and implemented it, and went from there.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I see that I can experience for myself that there is a lot of trickiness on the schedule hours. We are seeing that the switch towards ephemeral environments, specifically of when you can make it, because the schedule on the time zone, especially so the time zones are something that is not mentioned enough when you are dealing with the schedule hours because you can make a mess. I have done a couple of messes due to the time zone issues, and it's something that you need to be really careful about against that. And if you have like multi-time zone teams working on the same thing, you will probably switch to ephemeral environments if that's something that is worth for you. If not, probably you should think about serverless as well. Like if your application is fit for serverless, then I would switch to that because that will help you a lot with the schedule hours, not making a mess
Oh,
towards that.
absolutely. And also using if teams are spread, using UTC just to make sure there's uniformity.
For sure. Yeah.
Versus setting something for an African time zone versus European time zone versus US time zone, North American time zone. There's that gets too cumbersome of let's just make sure everything's uniform and we're all working together within UTC.
Yeah, yeah. As if any developer is listening and has deal with time zones and storing time zone and converting time zones and being able that when you store, then you when you retrieve the time zone is maintained. That's something that is probably one of the most difficult things to handle. Yeah, UTC saves us all for that.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Well, by the way, if you're working on the global team and then you're, following the sun on your even dev on your dev department, then you can do commitment and that's it. No automations there.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say that there's not much options that you can do unless you have like a super big team and you can do the ephemeral environment. Normally, the like having the a good commitment time and spot spot instances is what's going to save you the best, and it's unless you are serverless as mentioned, it's the less effort to handle because yeah, ephemeral environments are great, but you need a lot of pipelines and a lot of DNS stuff and a lot of management to be working on that. I mean, if you have good DevOps on your side, you may want to try it. But unless your project is super scalable and super big, such as, I don't know, a Netflix kind of thingy or something around those lines, you should be working on run. And as Damian said, a good commitment strategy plus some spot instances is what's going to save you a lot of money. Indeed. And moving forward from the dev environments and trying to to have some light on, because I come from development side, so I know that there is a lot of startups, a lot of small companies that are more into the tech side. So developing the stuff and being quick and shape fast things. For them, for these small companies that are more into the tech side and more on the quick shipment stuff, but they have scaled to something that is maybe costly. What are your advices for them in terms of starting with the FinOps practices? So apart from what you have said, what are your advice to them? Or if in your case, like if you land to a startup that is plain greenfield, what would you do?
Sure. I mean, start with the easiest thing. For those smaller businesses that are having to grow with their customers and start huge, just to make sure there's not performance issues or if I'm trying to log in and then all of a sudden I'm not able to because I've hit max capacity, for whatever reason. Start with simple things for cutting costs. Start with the savings plans. Start with the reservations. Those, if done properly, can save hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on how big environments are. Start with intelligent tiering. Make sure, if you're using an AWS environment, use intelligent tiering and set it up for every 30, 60, 90 days. If something's not accessed within 30 days, most likely you're not going to need it instantly. I have a box of files. It is an 18-gallon tote. I know that if I need something, it's in there. I know it's going to take me a while to find it. I don't need it within seconds. I'm okay with, okay, it's going to take me a half an hour, 45 minutes to find this paper, whatever I need. So, and that's how companies should look at it. It's not everything needs to be readily accessible right up at the very beginning. It's okay to have a little dialogue box that pops in if customers are pulling data that is years old of you'll be emailed when this report is complete. And that's okay. It's setting those expectations and letting customers know this is not about instant gratification. We are not shopping on Amazon.com with getting something same day or next day. It's okay to wait a little bit, and that's also setting boundaries for your customers that sometimes people forget.
Yeah, that's totally true.
I mean, I to be fair, I definitely do like my Amazon same day shipping, but at the
I think everyone, as Bezos said, they said that yeah, everyone wants ship fast and same day shipping and lower price products. That's always going to happen, and I think everyone will like that anytime, any point in history.
this this is true, but at the same time, if I can get it cheaper and I can save $10, $5 by waiting a day or two, I am happy to do that. And that's what people
Yeah.
need to think about. Is sometimes it's okay to have delayed data if it's large data sets. That's fine. I can work on it the next day. 24, 48 hours, fine. Most of the time it does not take that long to pull data from a deep archive. But if it does, depending on the data set, then set those expectations ahead of time.
That's a good point. I like it. We should add something like, "Do I really need this?" I think once we were talking with Guillermo about it, right? About what is the kind of like with Guillermo Ruiz from AWS? What is the type of service that you want to give your customers, right? When is the line that you draw when how fast do you give it? And I guess that is a good question to ask. Does it make sense, right? to have this service to have it so fast, or can I wait? Also, I would add that separating, if you have a good separation between the dev and prod, even on the account level or subscription or whatever, or project level, whatever provider you are using. On the dev accounts, you can try more. Like you were saying, try more automations, go, try more stuff that it can encourage you to save more, shut down environments and stuff like that. Usually people, tend to be a little bit scared of even right sizing. Oh no, this is a pro environment. I'm not going to do it. Fine. In the pro, no, but on the dev, why not try it, right?
Absolutely.
And tell us a little
Yeah,
bit. Do you have any
test
kind of
those.
like, yeah, yeah. you have like one of the success stories about all of this that we were talking, something that it's you want to share with us, or something like that about that went really really well with the engineering team.
Sure. So the last company I was with, huge success story in our Google environment that ended up saving about 50,000 euros a month, just by creating that trust with engineering. Yeah, it was a large amount. And working with them and just helping them understand, hey guys, I'm not trying to, step on any toes here. Help me understand your environment. What's running in this environment, and what is the environment used for? Oh, it's just used for support tickets. Okay, well, can we clean up some stuff that we don't need? Obviously, if something needs to be running for quick demos or support, obviously that's left running. Um, but we ended up clearing up that environment by working with engineering. And like I said, 50,000 euros a month is not cheap. Uh, so that was a huge, huge win. And that also helped build trust of, okay, Diana's not just playing bad cop here. She's actually trying to understand our environments, what's going on in these environments, and help us make these environments quicker, better, whatever the case may be. This in turn help speed up the environment, as well as give them more budget back to work on other projects, because they were hitting barriers that they weren't able to go past because they were at budget. So it helped them in multitude of things, and that was the biggest win. Most recently, I was really happy with the outcome of that.
No, that's quite some money. I mean, 50K per month. It's quite some salaries there, and you can, as mentioned and as you have said previously, some money that you can reinvest in the product, that you can make for other, tools, people, roles, etc., etc. So you can grow the company with the same resources. That's what we are talking always about, like having this either the same value for less price, or more value for the same price, right? And you mentioned it quite well, like 50K, being able to integrate and being able to take that role, like, yeah, why are not engineering take action? Is like, maybe you need to a different approach. Maybe you need to show them like what are you doing, and that you are not the bad cop, that you just here you want to help them and to make their life easier while helping the company by doing actually your work, right? Like being able to save some money, or being able to use the cloud more efficiently, which is the main goal of FinOps.
Absolutely. We want to be efficient in everything. We all have bank accounts, and when we see large purchases come out, it's, oh no, okay, now I have to cut down on something else. So why not take that mindset and put it into our jobs and what we're deploying? Because it helps grow so many things within a company. It helps with aligning teams and creating that communication, creating that trust, as well as building products, building brands, building teams. I know many, many FinOps engineers out there that are a team of one. Uh, and they would love to get additional support, but of course, there's lack of budget for this, so therefore they need to work with engineering and all to cut down resources so they can become more than a team of one.
Yeah, I think Damian can also talk about that as well, about how being teams of one
One.
or two can affect the famous. So
We can talk about it for
Yeah, be
hours. A lot of it's a lot of challenge, and it's very hard for me. This topic of trying to have engineering, do some of or work together on it's a topic that I don't think that it will ever and then you can never stop talking about it, because I think I always say that when you're looking for qualities in a FinOps role, what are you looking? And I always say you need to be a person. You need to be, because you need to work with engineering and with all these teams, and eventually that's what helps you. Not the others, of course. If you're technical and stuff, of course, it's added, of course, if you do. But first of all, if those management skills, those soft skills help you, get people, people, and buying stuff into either new project, into the overall FinOps, and to other people do some of the work that you need them to do, in order for the beneficial for the company. So yes, definitely worth talking about it again.
That is a topic I'm actually really, really passionate about, is leadership versus management and the differences of the two. Um, it's you're not just there to delegate and tell others what to do. You're there to lead them, and if a process isn't working, then okay, let's work together to figure out a process that will work to then build each other. I recently participated, or I've been participating in the FinOps mentorship program, and it's not just one-sided. Even though I'm a mentor and I have a mentee, it's not one-sided. I'm increasing and growing my skill set while working with this person, and they're also increasing and growing their skill set. And it's not just technical, it's soft skills, like you were talking about, that are really needed when you're working with multiple types of people. It's like, I take it back to my dog training. I'm working with multiple types of dogs at any one point. I got to know how to speak their language and work with, okay, this dog is food motivated, this dog just wants to be cuddled, and this dog will just do absolutely anything to make you happy. So it's learning the different ways of working with people that I really feel are really undervalued in a lot of positions that should be put at the forefront of when you're looking for those qualifications and requirements.
Yeah, I think that after all, it's a people role, and you need to understand. And I think probably coming from the technical side, we rely less on the technical, the collaboration and defining things clearly, and being able to articulate clearly, and being able to define everything in a good way, and less about the technical side, that especially in the engineering side is main of the focus, and less about the how do you structure things, how do you find things, which is probably when you have the most impact is on the definition phase. Then on the implementation phase, the errors will take much longer to be fixed. So yeah, you should be able to learn a lot of soft skills and be able to learn as someone that has done mentorships both on the mentee side and the mentor side. As for especially on FinOps, but in any if you have any program in your company, or you can join any of the mentorship programs that are out there that are free and public, I would recommend also to do that, because if you think then you'll probably get with people and you don't know, you seem that you know shit about how to fix their problems, even though they are your expertise. And if you're a mentee, you can learn a lot about how other people maybe more experienced that you have done things, even though they are different. So I would definitely recommend people joining like ADP mentorship, or mentor cruise, or any of these orgs. So uh, really want to end the podcast with that message as well. So Diana, pleasure to have you here today. I think there is a lot of people that will get value out of this, especially small companies, engineering teams, and FinOps frustrated maybe with the engineering side, that may need to know how to tackle it in a different perspective. So it was a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for coming by.
Absolutely, Victor and Demian, thank you so much for having me. It was an enjoyable conversation.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
it's a
you.
pleasure to you. I'm looking forward to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And it's a pleasure. And we'll like to know what you are doing in the future as well. We'll keep posted on that.
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah, and one thing, let's close up with something that Carlos asks us all the time. People, please register into the podcast, into the channel. By the way, let's all congratulate Carlos on his newborn. It's the first podcast after his newborn, Lucas. So great questions, enjoy, and
Yeah,
thank
and greetings to him and to his
to his
to
family.
his son, because Carlos is our backing guy, our editor, our everything
Wow.
basically, and he's on parental leave to take care of his son Lucas.
Wow.
That I was happy to see this weekend. So yeah, greetings to him. So please register, like this episode, and subscribe, for us and for him as well. And we know that you love the project. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Great.
Well, thank you very
Thanks.
much, guys.
Cheers.
Bye
See
bye.
you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.